What's up, y'all? On my Nelson Rangel type stuff, best jazz player in the world, at least in my eyes. But anyway, let's get on to this Bible stuff. Um, Now, on one of my last videos, I posted about how many times you can get baptized, but right now I'm debunking the myth of when women were told about who told women about the guard not to eat from a tree, and we're gonna debunk that right now. Right now, I went a little further. It's actually in chapter 2, so we're gonna go back a chapter. And around, I want to say verse. I just started 10, and we're gonna go from there because I got this stuff highlighted. And this is what the Lord commanded the man. Um, Eat not the tree of the garden, blah blah blah. Told us not to, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. Which will die. This is God telling man that. So, because women wasn't even made. And this is Genesis 2, chapter 2 of Genesis, verse 16. As far as I can tell, it's 25 verses. But let's get going. And the Lord God said, it's not good that the man should be alone. I will make him and helpmeet for him. Basically, helpmate. Out of the ground, Lord God formed every beast. Man named every beast. And what do they call a man that names things? Um, I had I had screenshotted this earlier, so let me get out. I don't know why I'm in this. Go on my photos because I had screenshotted it, so we're gonna see. Let's see. Okay, so this is what a man that names things is called a nomenclator. A nomenclator. So a nomenclator is a person that names things. So now people know. All right, now let's get back into this Bible verse and debunking. Come on now. Okay, we had Genesis 2. All right, we're gonna skip that part. Okay, now women was made in verse 21 and 22. Woman was made. Okay, now let's go into the next one. Chapter 3, verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast, and he said unto the woman, have God, ye hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. So, and the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. So she basically said that God said that, you know, and the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. So, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Therefore, right now, we are gods. We have the power of a God, which is to see good and evil. So, living for eternity doesn't make you a God. It may make you a God if God made us to be that and deem that as that. But at least from this part in the Bible, this far in the Bible, we don't know that. And we don't know about that yet. But let's keep going. Um, let's see. We just read 5. We're going to 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Verse 7, chapter 3. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. Okay, so they made themselves aprons. All right, let's get a little bit into that. Let's get a little bit deeper into that. Um, so their eyes was open. They gained the godly power to be able to see good and evil, which God didn't make us to see good and evil at first. And now we have that vision. So we have the vision, which is what God has, the ability, the ability to see good and evil. All right, let's get into it. I'm kind of tired. It's 2 in the morning. I'm at 1 in the morning, and I'm kind of hungry. But we're gonna get in this. Let's get to the next one. Genesis chapter 3, verse 8. And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God amongst the trees of the garden. And the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, Who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? And the man said, The woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And the Lord God said unto the woman, What is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And the Lord said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. Now, if you want to know what enmity means, um, it means a deep-rooted hatred. Deep-rooted hatred. That's what that words mean. That's what that word means. So God put in us to hate each other. God put in us to hate each other for some reason. That's what I'm getting from it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm interpreting it wrong. I don't know. Maybe somebody, can comment in the comment section and let me know what it means if y'all know what it means. But this is what I got from Google. I looked up the word. I didn't know what the word was. So anyway, let's get into the rest of it because that was my highlight on that. My notes that I got when I googled what the meaning of this verse meant. And between thy seed and her seed, it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Means we shall die, and means we gonna die. Basically, God cut off our eternal living. So once we ate from a tree, we became human. We became uneternal beings, basically, and we'll never be able to satisfy God in the flesh. So we wasn't flesh at first. We wasn't flesh at first. Let that sink in. We was not made flesh at first. We was made from the earth, the dirt, and the ground. So maybe I think we might have looked like that. Might have been dirt basically. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody comment and let me know. Trying to make sense out of this. Okay, now the next verse. Unto the woman, he said, this is when God passed his first punishment on man and woman, on Adam and Eve for eating the apple, for eating the fruit from the tree, which he said it was forbidden. Um, Now, nowhere around this area that I see that God directly spoke to Eve and told Eve not to eat from a tree, but she did receive the message. I can say that much. So to debunk the question of did did God speak to Eve and tell her directly to not eat from the tree? I'm not seeing that God did directly say to her not to eat from the tree. But she did know. The serpent spoke this in the opposite way, telling her that she could eat from the tree. And this is evidence of that. Yeah, half God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman responded to the serpent basically by saying, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. So she knew she could eat from the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest ye die. Now she didn't say that Adam told her or that she received the word directly from God. So that's where the confusion lies at. Where people might be asking this question if women actually was told not to eat from the Garden of Eden, from the tree of knowledge that's in the Garden of Eden, where the four rivers flow from. One of them, most notably, everybody knows is the Euphrates. And the other three I'm not going to name because technically I don't even remember the names of them all the way like that. But pretty sure some people do. But we all know the Euphrates River. Everybody's familiar with that one. But anyway, um, but she basically says, "Neither shall you touch it, lest you die." So she knows she's been told. So she's been told either by God or him. So I mean, at this point, what does it matter? She knows the woman she knows what she did, so that's debunked. To me, that's debunked. Um, that's a question that even shouldn't be asked at this point because she knew not to eat from the tree, and I guess the serpent, basically convinced her that she won't die if she eat from it. And the serpent said, "This is the serpent's response." And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for God does know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. All right, now we're going to get into what God did, the punishment. Now, that was the first punishment, the enmity. Second punishment he dealt out was unto the woman. He said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. So women are supposed to be desirable to women were punished to desire women. I mean not women. They was desired to be desired to man. They was supposed to be desired to man. That was their punishment. To desire men, to desire Adam, to desire the man. Okay. But the husband, the husband. Now, back then, automatically when you are with somebody, you was a husband and wife. And henceforth after, when you got with somebody and you was going to bear children and multiply the race, y'all husband and wife. That's the wife then. So